Everyone talked about the biggest games of 2025, but the gaming press didn't see them all the same way. Some releases exceeded expectations, others surprised even major outlets. So, which games truly stood out? These are the highest-rated games of 2025, based on coverage from the gaming press.
Do my eyes deceive me?
According to coverage from the gaming press, some games never lose relevance. Final Fantasy Tactics returns with the Ivalice Chronicles, bringing back one of the most respected tactical RPGs ever made. Major outlets consistently highlight its mature political narrative, morally complex characters, and themes that go far beyond typical fantasy storytelling. The deep job system and strategic combat are still frequently cited as reference points for the genre. Some reviews mention that its slower pacing and complexity can feel demanding for newcomers. Even so, coverage agrees that this depth is exactly why the game remains so highly regarded. And the next game stood out for a completely different reason.
I swear it. Under this starry sky.
Look me in the eyes!
The gaming press often describes this one as a slow burn, and proudly so. Trails in the Sky begins a long-running JRPG saga known for its detailed world-building and character-driven storytelling. Coverage from major outlets praises its careful pacing, strong dialogue, and sense of a living, coherent world. Many reviews point out that the game rewards patience more than instant gratification. Some outlets note that the opening hours feel understated. Still, most coverage agrees that this foundation is what makes the series special. But the next title takes a much harsher, grounded approach.
Wake up! Pull yourself together, Henry.
This is a game the gaming press respects, even when it's uncomfortable. The sequel expands its vision with a historically grounded open world, stricter survival mechanics, and consequence-driven role-playing where every decision matters. More technical melee combat, equipment management, skill-based progression, and deeper social interactions define the experience. Major outlets praise the improved combat, deeper systems, and a more responsive world that reacts meaningfully to player choices, from quests and dialogue to long-term consequences. Coverage often highlights the game's commitment to immersion, built not just through visuals and atmosphere, but through mechanics that demand planning, patience, and attention to detail. Some reviews note that its realism can feel punishing, especially for newcomers, with a steep learning curve and minimal handholding. Still, most agree this challenge is intentional and ultimately rewarding. And then came one of the year's biggest evolutions.
As soon as we find a good spot, we can get things set up and ready to go. And then we can get started.
This is gonna be great!
Based on early coverage from major gaming outlets, this is a major step forward for the series. Monster Hunter Wilds expands the franchise with larger, seamless maps, dynamic weather, environmental cycles, and systemic changes that affect both monster behavior and player strategy. Exploration plays a bigger role, with areas that evolve during hunts and encounters that feel less predictable. Combat feels smoother and more responsive, with adjustments to pacing, new interactions with the environment, and deeper integration between weapons, mounts, and abilities. Ecosystems are no longer just background elements, but active systems that directly influence each hunt, creating emergent gameplay moments. Previews and early impressions highlight this sense of a living, interconnected world, alongside the game's technical and design ambition. While the learning curve remains steep, especially for newcomers, most agree that the depth of its systems makes the experience more rewarding. But not every standout was this massive.
I hope we find them soon.
Some of the most memorable games are those built around a clear, well-defined vision. Dispatch is a narrative-focused experience built around branching dialogue, player choice, and consequences that unfold throughout the story. The game favors a more deliberate pace, prioritizing decisions, character relationships, and thematic development over constant action. Progression happens primarily through conversations, narrative events, and key choice-driven moments, where the player shapes the tone of the story and the fate of its characters. Its focused design ensures that every scene, line of dialogue, and decision carries real weight. Major outlets highlight its sharp writing, emotional impact, and clarity of vision, often pointing to how a smaller-scale game can be just as impactful as larger productions. While some reviews note its limited scope, most agree that focus is its greatest strength, and the next game was even more unexpected.
You gonna eat those Twinks?
That's not what they're... You know what? Help yourself.
Despelote is a personal snapshot of childhood, place, and identity. The game blends football, memory, and cultural identity into an intimate experience inspired by growing up in Ecuador. Instead of traditional matches, the focus is on exploration, small moments of play, and everyday interactions that show how football exists in daily life. Players move through stylized urban spaces, kick a ball, observe conversations, and unlock narrative fragments shaped by memory rather than a linear story. Hand-drawn visuals and ambient sound design reinforce its nostalgic tone. Critics highlight its artistic direction and emotional honesty. While it won't resonate with everyone, its originality stands out. Now, we move into the heavy hitters.
He called himself a ghost, but...
He found a way back from the beach just so he could kill us.
He said he came back to get revenge on you and me.
Hey, brother. Did you miss me?
Even when opinions differ, this sequel makes it clear it's taking bold risks. Death Stranding 2 expands on the foundation of the original with refined delivery systems, improved movement, and a wider range of tools, vehicles, and player-built structures designed to navigate hostile environments. The world introduces new biomes, more dynamic environmental hazards, and encounters that reward careful planning. Progression is more clearly structured, with mechanics introduced more gradually, while the narrative adopts a stronger, more deliberate pacing. Themes of isolation and connection remain central, reinforced by how the world and its characters respond to player actions. Early impressions point to improvements in overall flow, a better balance between exploration and storytelling, and a more focused design compared to the first game. Even so, the game remains intentionally unconventional, fully embracing the identity that defines the series. And the next title was years in the making.
This thing between us. It was a mistake.
No. No, it was not a mistake. It was not a mistake.
After years of anticipation, Silksong finally expands the world introduced in Hollow Knight. The game introduces Hornet as a new protagonist, bringing a faster, more acrobatic combat style built around speed, reach, and precise control. New abilities, tools, and movement systems reshape how players explore the map and approach combat encounters. The world is made up of interconnected regions with stronger vertical design, new enemy types, and challenging boss fights that demand mastery of timing and positioning. Progression stays true to the Metroidvania formula, encouraging exploration, skill growth, and revisiting earlier areas. Its art direction and soundtrack reinforce the identity of the universe, while early impressions highlight the refined combat and level design. Difficulty remains high, as expected, and is a core part of the experience. And now, the top 5. Few expected this game to rank so highly among major gaming outlets. Donkey Kong Bonanza reinvents the franchise by embracing a bold and surprisingly confident new direction. In practice, the game features more open levels, offering multiple routes, well-hidden secrets, and challenges that constantly reward exploration. Movement feels smooth and responsive, and each new ability adds meaningful variety to the gameplay. Level design stands out as a major strength, introducing fresh visual ideas and mechanics before they have time to wear out. progression is well-paced, balancing intense action with calmer, more atmospheric moments. Critics highlight this balance as one of the game's biggest achievements, calling it a confident return for the franchise. Even though it moves away from classic conventions, most agree the risk pays off.
We sure cause a lot of explosions.
Major gaming outlets often reward bold ideas, but very few truly deliver on that promise. Split Fiction is one of the rare exceptions. The game defines its identity by blending genres, perspectives, and gameplay styles into a narrative that constantly reinvents itself. Each chapter rewrites the rules, shifts the pacing, and forces players to relearn how to engage with the world in front of them. In practice, this creates an unpredictable experience, where mechanics exist not just to challenge the player, but to reinforce themes, emotions, and conflict. Narrative twists emerge organically, using atmosphere, player choice, and silence as powerfully as dialogue. Visually, the game mirrors this fragmentation through distinct art styles, making it clear that nothing here was designed to follow convention. Critics praise this creative boldness and the refusal to play it safe. Split Fiction may not be for everyone, and it knows it, but that ambition is exactly what makes it one of the year's most talked about titles.
All of my right, title, and interest in the house and land which I own near Mount Holly.
Blueprints doesn't rush to explain itself, and that choice is deliberate. From the very beginning, the game makes it clear the experience relies on player attention and interpretation. Mystery isn't presented as a direct puzzle, but as a persistent atmosphere built through silence and subtle visual detail. Each discovery gains meaning over time, encouraging players to connect fragments and form their own conclusions. Storytelling unfolds indirectly, allowing for multiple readings. Visually, the game maintains a strong identity that reinforces its enigmatic tone. Critics praise this restrained and confident approach, often describing Blueprints as an experience that grows richer with engagement. While its ambiguity may divide players, most embrace it as part of the game's appeal.
An expedition departs for the continent with one hopeless mission: destroy the Paintress.
From the earliest previews, it was clear this wouldn't be just another turn-based RPG. Clair Obscur. Expedition 33 arrives with a strong, striking, and instantly recognizable artistic identity. In gameplay, traditional turn-based combat acts as a foundation for an experience that goes beyond strategy, leaning heavily into emotion and atmosphere. Each encounter is designed to support narrative pacing, not just mechanical challenge. The visual direction stands out through expressive use of color, contrast, and composition, reinforcing the journey's melancholic tone. Environments, characters, and framing work together to create a constant sense of beauty and unease. The soundtrack complements this mood with precision, elevating key moments and deepening the emotional impact of each scene. Narratively, the game handles its themes with sensitivity, building tension and meaning gradually. Critics highlight this blend of visuals, music, and emotion, often describing Clair Obscur as one of the year's most memorable experiences. Even with an unconventional structure, confident execution holds everything together. Very few sequels ever reach this level, and Hades 2 makes that clear from the very first moments. Rather than simply returning to what worked before, the game expands every system with ambition and precision. Combat feels more refined, with new abilities, synergies, and variations that keep each run fresh and unpredictable. Controls remain tight and responsive, rewarding aggression, pattern recognition, and constant adaptation. Narratively, the game deepens its characters through richer dialogue, stronger relationships, and evolving consequences across runs. Story progression is no longer just contextual. It becomes an active part of the gameplay loop. The art direction and soundtrack uphold Supergiant's high standards, reinforcing identity, pacing, and emotion throughout the experience. Critics emphasize this exact point. Hades 2 doesn't settle for matching its predecessor. It exceeds expectations. For the gaming press so far, Hades 2 stands as one of the defining releases of 2025. These were the highest rated games of 2025 so far. Titles that didn't just impress critics, but showed how different genres continue to evolve, surprise, and resonate. If you enjoyed this ranking, leave a like to support the channel. It really helps. Subscribe for more videos like this, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Now tell us, which of these games impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments below.